Okay, so today we are going to be talking about a match coverage rule where you can play the same exact coverage with one adjustment that doesn't change any of the zones on your field, and it will elicit two completely different coverages overall. So make sure that you guys are subscribed right here to the Zay Madden YouTube channel. I'm dropping content Monday through Friday in the mornings with shorts in the afternoons to help you guys get better at the game absolutely free. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about cover for quarters. Now this is quarters specifically. Right here I'm in the big nickel over G, but you guys can apply this to literally any defense in the game that has quarters in it. So nickel over, you guys could go into dime normal. You could go, again, literally any defense that's called cover four quarters. You'll be able to do this trick out of. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to show you a very basic example of how quarters operates. This should be not a surprise to anyone out there that is a match fan, but if you guys don't really know how match works, this will be an introductory level course for quarters and its basics. We have 4 deep zones on the field. Our outside corners and our safeties are in those deep zones, but they will play man-to-man on their receiving threat if they enter through their zone vertically. We did a video just last week talking about 12 yards being the landmark that will turn an outside deep zone into man-to-man on that player. So to make this really, really simple, we have 2 receivers on both sides of the field, running back in the backfield to the right. Our outside corners are going to relate to the outside receivers. Our inside safeties in the deep zone are going to relate to the slot receivers on this particular play. Now, again, the rule set mandates that the receivers must go vertical. So I'm going to show you guys right here that if I run 2 streaks or basically 2 corners and 2 smokes, this would be called smash angle. This would be a concept in which the outside corners will not match, and they will instead look to play help on those corner routes. This is a great little concept that you guys can utilize. It helps you guys, especially when that outside receiver is not traveling vertically, to allow you to have those zones play the sideline. So we take a look right here. Look at Jalen Johnson. He's relating to Ja'Marr Chase. Because Ja'Marr Chase does not get a vertical release, this tells him I'm going to play zone. So he's going to drop to the outside, peeking inside at the slot receiver. Now he's got options. He can play zone, or if that route enters his area, he can actually latch into man-to-man on that and help out. In this case, because there was a Texas route entering his area, he decided to help out there because it was breaking open. After all, on this play, we have the safety who is responsible for the second receiver. And if he goes vertical, he turns into man-to-man on this. So he ends up being able to play this. But again, what ends up happening is because this player is basically not running vertical, it is the responsibility of our quarter flat defender, who you can see here getting hands on the slot receiver, to then go to the flat. But there is a window that if you're looking for that, that could be exploited. So in this example here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a smoke route on the right, and I'm going to run a vertical. And what you're going to see here is while Chancellor is pressing that slot receiver, I can actually throw the football out into the flat and be able to potentially pick up right here 8 yards. And that could be really, really annoying. And this will be something that players will do from time to time against a match style coverage. They know after all that a smoke route isn't going to be matched, so they can just go ahead and elicit that little jam animation, throw the ball out to the smoke route while they're getting hands, and there's a free 8 yards. It's very, very obnoxious. Now, the problem is in previous Maddens, we used to be able to shade our coverage underneath, but still play the matching principles for the deep zones. This is no longer the case. So now what ends up occurring with this particular breakdown is you guys can notice here that in this situation, if I put the guy on a smoke, it'll be played by the hard flat, but now this is a situation where this is basically zone coverage, and now we don't have anyone matching the backside post route, and that ends up being wide open as a simple flood. So no longer is it the case where we could just say, all right, well, I'm going to play match coverage, but change my quarter flats into hard flats. That way they can't throw smoke routes, because all 4 of our deep zones are now just that. There's zone. There's no matching rules at all. And you see right here, we were able to drive off the entire right side of the field and deliver this post route underneath on a flooding concept. Now, what I'm about to show you is how you guys can utilize this to defend drags, smoke routes, really anything at all that the outside receiver is doing while playing match. And it doesn't matter if they go vertical. But first, I want to let you guys know that if you guys enjoy this type of content, again, make sure you guys are subscribed here, but also you check out my Madden website, gridirongameplans.gg. I've been running Gridiron since 2020, keeping you on top of the meta, or the most effective tactics available, the stuff that the pros are doing in Madden, how it works, and how to counter it. And in fact, I just dropped my match game plan with comprehensive rules for all of the coverages: quarters, palms, cover 6, cover 9, cover 6 invert, and how they work against various wide receiver spacing. So in this example, we're talking about spread formations 2x2. There's different rules for 3x1 or compression such as bunch or trips tight end, where there's special rules for how they match the tight end. If you guys want to become a more well-rounded coverage player in Madden, I would strongly advise you go check out that game plan. You guys can unlock the entire website. That's all of my game plans, offense and defense, and over 80 vault tips and counting, with more content coming every single week. Lab sessions inside of our Discord, which is the best place to continue getting better in finding lab partners and really just discussing all the content that's on the website. So much that you guys can learn in there on top of what's on the website for just $9.95 a month. So make sure you guys go check that out. You guys can also bundle college football on top of that for an additional $5 a month. Best deal in the tip space. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you guys a rule that Cover 4 Quarters has, and this is a really, really cool one. And this is called MEG, M-E-G. And that stands for man everywhere he goes. And this is a rule for the outside receivers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to press my coverage. The act of pressing your quarters coverage is going to make it so the outside corners are now locked into man-to-man on the outside receivers. For all intents and purposes, the play art really ought to look like this, where you have these outside corners basically locked into man press. Now, the thing about this is that this can come at a risk, especially if you don't have a good press corner. If you do, you'll be fine. But this is great for those underneath meshing combos, because again, a lot of times those quarter flats, they get, hung up, or sometimes, you could just run a drag, and a lot of times the guy will just run wide open into the void. I'm going to show you guys an example here where I'm going to put Brian Thomas Jr. on the right side on a drag, and I'm just going to run vertical, vertical, vertical. And with this, you're going to see that the outside corner on the right is going to play him in man-to-man coverage. And that is not only if he goes vertical, it's literally man-to-man period. It doesn't matter if he goes vertical. So I'm going to snap this ball, watch him on this drag here. And then you see this guy playing this across the field. Now, this is important because a lot of times you guys will note that a quarter flat zone might run up the field, jamming somebody, and that gets them outflanked from time to time. And that can be really, really annoying. So let's say, for instance, that I decide, all right, well, I'm going to put Ja'Marr Chase here on the backside on a drag, and I want to, target him. If I'm playing, off coverage, there's no one that's really going to be able to man him up. And if not for the 3-rack hook in the middle of the field, which, to be honest with you, we're looking at Nitschke here in the middle, most players use her. And if they drop back too far, this throw is going to be basically thrown right now. And just imagine the user's back here looking for post routes. They throw this ball to Ja'Marr Chase right now, and the user's not there. This ends up being a wide open catch, and they run up the field. So this is a great way to kind of neutralize this. And you don't have to play global press coverage for this to work. Now, depending on what coverage you're in, you guys may need to make individual coverage adjustments. You'll see right here, if I go Y, A, bring up the receiver icons, tap X, and then I flick the right analog stick down to press, it doesn't really bring him into press coverage enough. So that's kind of problematic. What you can do, however, is press universally, which brings everybody into true press, and then individually back up on the other receiver. So now what we have is basically just stock quarters rules to the left, where Brian Thomas Jr. is only being matched by that outside deep defender if he goes vertical. However, on the left side of the screen, we have Ja'Marr Chase. And that's going to be a situation where no matter what route he runs, this is going to end up being played man-to-man. So in this particular context, let's say that the user does bail and they want to throw this hot. Now you have a guy right on top of that. Now, again, it comes down to press ratings, release ratings, things like that. So now what you end up with is this press animation where the guy's playing him man-to-man. Now, from this point forward, it's basically your press rating, your man-to-man versus their release, their short route running. It's going to be playing whatever route they're running the entire way. This is a great way to just make sure you have extra help underneath, especially if there's a problematic route that is, getting in between your underneath zones. But this rule set completely changes the way that you're going to play quarters by being able to lock a player into a mandatory man coverage. That way, if you're noticing that your quarter flats are dropping too deep in the sidelines or the seams, now all of a sudden you have extra help that can kind of take away that throw and that scamper up the field. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later this afternoon or tomorrow with our next long form upload. Until then, this is Zan. Get the lab and good luck.